Okay, so here's the administrative section. What we're just going to need in the administrative section is an ID and a CV, and you've already completed the profile. The
Yeah.
pre-assessment is just an activity that we're going to do before we do your assessment with you, just to make sure that you understand all of the work that we must do. The library
Mm-hmm.
got the learning material so that you can refer back to it. Now, one thing I just want to mention to you is there's a lot of learning material in here. You don't have to read through everything. Some of this information is just for your future use, right?
Okay.
Especially
Okay.
the blue folders. So the assessment manual, the 13 principles of the NQF, and the updated PDF. Those are the important learning materials that I want you to take a look at. Then,
Yes.
then we've got a
Yeah.
total of 6 assignments, and that's all of the work that you would need to do to be finished with the course. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the first assignment, I see that you've already completed and you've got 100%. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
That's the formative assessment. Then the next one that we've got is the essay one. Okay. Sorry, I see that you finished it about 7 days ago and I haven't marked it yet. So I'm going to start marking it then today. So then you can
Mm.
just log in and see how well you've done. So
Yeah.
if you still need to do some different answers on the questions, one of the things that you'll then just have to do is you are going to just re-answer the questions, but it's going to take all of your previous answers over to the next one. So you don't have to retype the ones you got right as well. You just have to do the ones where you got it wrong.
Okay.
And then because you're so far advanced, we should actually be taking a look here at assignment number 3, the uploading of the pre-assessment briefing. Okay.
Okay.
So assessment then is a process that consists of 4 steps. There's the planning and the preparation, there's the conducting, there's the feedback and the review. So during each of these stages, there's things that we must do with the learners, and we must also have evidence of the things that we've done with the learners. So in the PowerPoint, there is explanations of these various things, but essentially it goes, you as the assessor first need to go through the unit standard that you'll be assessing people on. You have to go through the document that's called an assessment guide, and that assessment guide tells you everything that you need to do in order to successfully complete the assessment. So I just want to see where that assessment guide is for us. Okay, so one of the other things that I just want to touch on is you should actually be enrolled for free courses. Let me just quickly check that for you. So there's the one course that is the assessor course, and then you should also see there's a course called Communicate.
Mm-hmm.
This Communicate is the course where you will be the assessor, because remember, to pass this course you actually have to carry out 2 assessments. Now
Mm.
what we did is, instead of you having to find 2 people in order to assess them, which is sometimes a bit of a struggle for people, we've created this course and then we've kind of made it so that the learners could do their work in here. So you're going to then be assessing the work that your learners have done in here. Now,
Okay.
what are you going to be assessing the learners on? There is this unit standard called Unit Standard 9303, and it is all about communicating verbally with clients in a financial environment. Okay,
Okay.
I was just not sure if the screen was sharing, so let me just put the screen share back on again. Okay. Tommy, do you see a document that says assessment briefing and plan on the screen in front of you?
It's not yet appearing. It's still scanning. Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, I'm just going to turn my video so that you can see it easier. Okay.
Yeah, now I can.
So what you have to now do for me is I want you to go through this document, because this document is essentially what we call the pre-assessment briefing. You'll see that it's also in assignment number 3. There's also the Word version of the document. So there's the PDF and there's the Word version. So the Word version is to allow you to write things on it. So are all of the things that one would have to explain to a learner so that they understand what assessment is about. So you are the assessor over here. You can leave the learner name open, and then the venue is just Zoom, and then the date is just when you're doing this.
Okay.
So you have to then fill in this document. Do you have access to a computer?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever signed a document in Adobe?
Not yet, but I think I can do that.
Okay, it's actually easy enough. So what you'll see is if you've got this Adobe open, on the top there was a little thing that said, I'm just going to close it here so I can show a little bit easier. Is at the top there's just a little thing that says sign document. So one can just click on that, and then one can add in a signature, or one can just draw the little signature.
Yeah.
Type things in on it, for example. So this is how I would then sign the document. So then after you've gone through the document, you just sign it. Now, for us, in order to prove that you can do this document, you just need to make a recording as you are discussing the document with somebody.
Okay.
There's 2 ways in which you can do the recording. Sorry. The one way is that you can just do it as a WhatsApp voice note, right? You've got the paper copy in front of you, and then you just kind of work from the paper copy while you make a WhatsApp voice note.
You don't have to.
It doesn't have to be a video. Another way in which one can do this pre-assessment briefing is one would be able to. Did you know that you can make a video in Zoom with nobody attending it?
No, I didn't know.
So what you would do, one way in which you can do a screen share recording is what you do is you open up a Zoom session, then you share the screen, and then you click on record. And then it's going to record everything that you say and everything that's on the screen. And then when you stop the share, it is actually going to save it. I'm going to send you a little video like that about the other assignments as well. I've already made it for you.
Okay.
So that's one way you can also just do it. But remember, if you have any difficulty with either of these, with the technology of it and with the contents, I'll be more than willing to help. I've just
been
a bit sick. Okay. So essentially then assignment number 3 is where you do all of these things, and essentially you make sure that you cover all of these points on what you have to say. So for example, at number 1, you go, good day, Nonsigalelo. How are you today? Welcome to your assessment. How are you feeling? Let's do a quick activity to ease your nerves. And then you can make just a little, share an interesting fact or make a little joke or something just to get the people more comfortable. And then you say, my name is Nonsigalelo and I have, and then you just make up a number here, because the activity that we're doing is a role play. And in a role play, we tend to use our imaginations to give scenarios in which people can act out activities. So, for example, we could either make this into a simulation by having you to find a learner that you can then do all of these activities with, but that makes the assessment exercise a bit less manageable. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's why you can just make up some information in here. Okay, so have you worked in communicating with customers before?
Yes.
Okay, because that's good, because the unit standard that you'll be assessing the learners on, unit standard 9303, there's an assessment guide in the paper portfolio, is all about communicating verbally with customers in a financial environment. So you can then explain your customer service expertise is what allows you to do the assessment. Then,
Okay.
then you explain for us what is an assessment. So an assessment is a step-by-step process of collecting and evaluating evidence gathered on an individual's performance against a specific set of criteria. The set of criteria is known as a unit standard, and it is created by SAQA, the South African Qualifications Authority. So those are then things that you've gone through in the PowerPoint. And then here we ask you to explain what is the SAQA structure and what is credits and levels. It's important for learners to know that. So as an example, the assessor course is level 5 and it is 15 credits. So it is more difficult than matric, and it requires about 150 hours worth of work. Whereas the moderator course is on level 6 and it is 10 credits, which means it's 100 hours of work, because 1 credit equals 10 hours of work. The SAQA NQF system has level 1 as the lowest and level 10 as the highest.
Okay.
Then here it talks about all of the assessment process steps. It talks about what is the purpose of this assessment. So this unit standard is unit standard 9303. I'm just going to make sure that I've sent you the link to unit standard 9303, so that you can just go through it. But it, like I said, is in the printed out portfolio.
Okay.
Then here in number 7, you're just going to say yes. The company that you're working for is accredited and you are registered as an assessor. So when somebody hires you to do assessments for something, one of the things that you should do is you should ask for the assessment documents. Not the assessment documents, the accreditation documents and the various registrations, so that they don't hire you to do a program that you aren't accredited for. Okay. Then the next thing is you're then going to discuss the assessment plan. The learner is just going to be the person watching the video. You are going to be the assessor and I'm going to be the moderator.
Okay.
Then what's going to be needed? Tables, chairs, computer and stationery.
Can I ask, I have to make up all these things, like can you go back again, like on the last thingy? Yeah, on the number 7. Number
Yes.
7.
Yeah.
I have to type
that up.
document, or do I really need?
No, you just say it. So like I said, this is why we're doing it as a role play as opposed to a simulation. In a simulation, you would have to have those documents available. But in a role play, you don't have to have the documents available.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and then when it comes to when is the assessment going to take place, then you can just write down a date there. Incidentally, this is the address of my office. And then you just explain all of these things to the learner. And then here at number P and number Q, number P, you just make it up again. And number Q, you do it as well. So how it works, right, is an assessor can't assess anything. They can only assess things in which they have subject matter expertise. Right.
Okay.
So I can't assess someone on early childhood development because that is outside of my area of expertise. But I can assess people on computers, photography, technology, assessors, many different things there.
Mm.
So when one wants to when one has finished the course and we've gotten a statement of result from the CETA, then one takes those results or that statement of result that they've given you, and then you approach the CETA with which your expertise is. So in your case, that would be CAF CETA, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So then you would they've got an online application, and then you go through that process, and then you submit your documents, and then it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, and then they give you your registration number and the unit standards or qualifications that you are allowed to assess.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah. So it's like a licensing. It's also then why you do this assessor course.
yeah.
Okay. Then here at number 9, the sequence of the assessment activities is first you will be doing with them the quiz. The learners have already completed the quiz. Then you will look at the video recording of them doing the customer interactions, and then you will evaluate the notes that they took during the assessment.
Yeah.
Okay, so then at number 10, you just explain to them what recognition of prior learning is. You explain to them what are the barriers and special needs, and give them a chance to provide evidence or, to provide inputs regarding it. So a barrier or a special need is something that might affect the learner's ability. So for example, if you run out of data now, that is a barrier.
Yes.
These aren't running, or if there's flooding in the class or stuff like that, that's a barrier. A barrier is an external thing.
Or maybe the load shedding.
Yes, that's another good example of a barrier. A special need is something inherent to the person. So at the moment, you might hear that my voice is busy running away from me. That then is a special need. Now, special needs can be either long-term or short-term, and
Yeah.
they be visible or invisible special needs. So at the moment, you can hear that I'm sick, right? This is not how my voice usually sounds. That is an apparent short-term need, but it is an apparent need, but it's also a short-term need. So the learner doesn't perhaps have to bring any specific proof of that. But if it's a special need, like the person being diabetic or suffering high blood pressure, that's not something that you can see by looking at a person. They would have to bring more supporting evidence for it. And of course, if you can think of any barriers or special needs that will affect your ability to do the assessment, please also just let me know.
Okay.
Okay, and then one can write it on this form. So, but in the assessment you'll be carrying out with your learners, they won't have any special needs. Okay, and then at number 12, then we've just got the roles and the responsibilities of the learner, and then the assessor. So in this course, you are what's known as the candidate assessor because you're carrying out 2 assessments. When you're carrying out your 2 assessments, I play the role of the moderator. But in your assessor course, I'm your assessor, and then one of the other people at our organization is going to be the moderator.
Okay.
Okay, then the 11 principles of assessment. These are the rules that we've got to follow when we're carrying out assessments. So the 4 that relate to, so that's what the assessor gathers, is the evidence has to be collected in a realistic manner that resembles the conditions of actual performance. It has to be authentic. That means it has to be the learner's own work. It has to be current. That means it shouldn't be too much on the past. So RPL is a possibility, but one must still be certain that the person can do all of the things that they've put into their RPL evidence.
Mm.
Then there's the principle of sufficient, where evidence has to be collected against all of the assessment criteria. So, for example, the assessor course has got, I think, about 35 criteria in it. I've got to assess you against all 35 of the criteria.
Mm.
Then the next 4 are the methods. Now, the methods of assessment are observation, questioning, and product evaluation. And those then have to be fair, aka the methods selected don't introduce any barriers. Appropriate, the method selected must be the correct method. So, for example, if I want to ask you questions, then I've got to give you something like a test or an exam or a quiz if I want to test your knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowledge gets tested through the assessment method of questioning. If I want to see if you can do something, then the correct assessment method is observation, and that would require something like a role play, a simulation, or a demonstration. So, for example, that's why I ask you to make a recording of this pre-assessment briefing so that I can observe whether you can do it correctly. And then if I want to see if you can fill out documents and stuff like that, then that is a product evaluation. So, for example, when you sign this document and you upload it, that's a product evaluation. Then the next bit is integration. So that's where you should allow for evidence to be collected throughout the learning process. Then manageability. So that's why we're not having people that's why we're not bringing in several people to be your learner, because then it becomes more difficult to organize the course. Can you imagine if we had to schedule 3-4 people right now? It would be a bit more tricky. Okay, and then there's the principles that relate to the overall process. So that then is where the moderator comes in. So this first 4 is where the assessor, so the assessor collects, the designer chose the methods, and the moderator has to make sure that the assessment is reliable and consistent so that any other assessor would make the same judgment. It has to be open, which means the learner must understand what they're being assessed on and why. This is where this pre-assessment briefing comes in. And systematic is that it happens according to policies and procedures. Then the next thing that we've got here is the appeals process. The appeals process is if the learner feels that there's been some problem with their assessment. So first, you would make the learner would make the appeal known to the assessor. They would say, okay, I don't think you've considered this evidence in the right way. And then the assessor and the learner can discuss it. But then if the learner isn't happy with how the assessor has dealt with the appeal, or if the assessor hasn't, in the learner's opinion, properly looked at the evidence, then they can bring it over to the moderator. And then if they can't resolve the challenge, it goes to the ETQA for arbitration, where the ETQA can make a decision. So in the ETQA in our case is the ETDP CETA. Okay, and then over here is where your learner is then just going to put this evidence in for you. You just make the recording and sign the document, and then I will sign as the learner. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So essentially, yeah, but I'm also going to, after you've uploaded the document or you've sent the document to me, I'm going to fill it out as if I was the 2 learners. So you don't have to worry about filling in 1, 2, 3, 4, these 7 points. You just have to sign there where it says assessor and put your date in there. Okay. So yes. So what I'd like you then to please start working on for me is to make that recording. And then what I'll be doing a bit later today is I'm then just going to be marking your quiz. So you should be able to see your results tomorrow.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so what questions do you have for me?
So far I'm fine. I'm good.
Okay, yeah, because technically speaking, I'm not back at work yet, but you do have my private number, so you can just reach out as soon as you've hit a snag or if you've got any questions.
Yeah, I will do that. In
And
your
then,
personal number.
yeah.
Okay.
Then what I'm also just going to be doing a bit later today is I'll also just be sending you the link to this video, and I'll also be uploading the link to this video in the course.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so on that topic, I think we've then reached the end of today's session, so I can go and take some medicine and lie down for a bit again.
Problem then. Get better.
Okay, thank you very much. Go well.
Okay, bye.